Okay, this is just a rundown on my new environment, Moon360. I did this to go with the astronaut suit, but you can use it for other purposes as well. First off, where can you find it? It is under Light Presets, under Midnight Stories, and then Moon360. Now there'll be actually 3 directories. One is for a depth of field camera, which you can load in, but you don't load that in with Infinite Sphere. That's the second directory, and the third directory is actually the depth of which is you use the depth of field camera with this one. But I'll demo that shortly. So basically there are three directories. Infinite Sphere, you'll get your Infinite Sphere with plane, and that's and your depth of field camera. Okay, so what's in the package? Here's just a quick rundown of the promos. I do have two that are actually in orbit. So I've done a full-scale model of the Earth with a bit of atmosphere, and you'll also get the sun and the moon shining in that one as well. And there's the moon one. I've got a close-up of the moon, and you'll have the Earth off in the distance, plus the sun's in there as well. This one, the lander, I actually downloaded that free off the NASA site, and I just put on my own textures, and that's merely for the promos. As you can see, the lighting is proper lighting. This is rendered in TerraGen. It's a awfully tough program to get your head around, but once you do, you can get some good results. I've got a crater one there in the environment. I've tried, it might look a bit dull and boring, but that's pretty well much what the moon, allegedly is looks like. So I've made it more the grey scales. And these are all, I've got 9 environment maps altogether. And there's the sun in that one. All 360, you can rotate in any direction. This is the depth of field one, where it's sharper at the when you're close up, and a bit blurrier at the back. So I tried to get an authentic look for the moon. It's a bit tough when you don't have a lot of reference material, and that's just the demo of that. So in this scene I've got my iRay render set up. So we'll go to Infinite Sphere first, and Moon 1, give it a tick to render. So you can see close up on the ground, you'll get good resolution. These are all 16K maps, so I've really pushed up the resolution. It takes like 24 hours just to render one of these guys out. And there's the sun up there. So all your shadows will come from the direction of the sun. Okay, so this is Moon 2. and this is more a flatter surface. You could put your own lander in the background in these ones, just as a suggestion. Again, there's your sun in the background, and obviously all your shadows of your scene comes from that. Okay, Moon 3. Moon 3 is more like a cratered background where it's been just hit by meteorites. And obviously the sun's from behind you in this one, so you don't see any shadows. So you turn around, shadows will come exactly from the sun. Okay, Moon 4. Right, this one's got the sun a little bit lower in it. It's sort of flat rolling hills. Now this one has got the Earth in the background. Now let's see if we can find it. Oh, somewhere here it's. So this one, yeah, it is a bit tricky to find. You'll say line up with these rocks and go straight up, and you'll see Earth up there on a rather weird angle, but I'm not sure. This was done with certain calculations. I'm not exactly sure how they all work. Okay, Moon 5. This is the flatter one. This one's is good for you putting objects in the background off into the distance, because it's nice and flat. This is Moon 6 orbit. So I've got the two ones that are off the surface of the moon with orbit written next to them. So keep that in mind if you're just doing space shots. Now the Earth should be over here. Yep. So the Earth will be off in the distance, and I'm thinking the sun should, yep, there we go, there's the sun there. So you keep that in mind if for your shadows, just to know where they're going to come from. Right, now this is Moon 7 orbit, and this is looking at it from an Earth outside the Earth's atmosphere. So you'll get the sun off in the distance again, and it does. I did put in city maps to brighten up the darker side of the Earth. And the moon should be off in the distance there. So it gives you a good option for, putting out. Maybe you've got the ISS space station as one of your things. You can just drop in there and render it. Again, this works great with the astronaut. This is Moon 8. And every one of them's obviously got stars. That was a tough one to figure out because there's actually no shots from the moon that's got stars in them. They must have had pretty lousy cameras on those days. Next one is Moon 9. Moon 9's more of where you're down inside a crater, looking up outside. So there's rocks, there's in all directions you've got, you're looking up at the hills of the crater. Again, this really works well with the astronaut suit. Okay, so that's all the infinite spheres ones. The next one is the depth of field ones. Now they're all the same sort of backgrounds, but only from the surface, obviously. And I'll just give you a basic rundown of one. You don't need to go through all of them. So what you would do was you'd load up. Let's see, which is a good looking one. All right, we'll go to number 9. That's inside the crater. Then the next thing you would do is go to your depth of field camera, click on it, and make sure it's selected when you render. Okay, so that's selected. The next thing I would do would be loading in the astronaut, which is under people, Genesis 3 male, clothing, midnight stories, astronaut, and where are we? The iRay preset, we use that. Obviously this set isn't for 3D Delight, it's all HDR stuff. That's how you get the lighting. So we'll just load the astronaut. So the astronaut is loaded. I'd probably apply just an ordinary stand one, just from the hierarchical poses. And as you can see, the foreground's a lot more in focus and the background's a bit blurred out. Now you can move your camera around to whatever position because it keeps it in the right distance. And as you can see, he's in focus and the background is slightly blurred out. Now this will be sort of how you load all of your different DFO ones. So we'll go back up and we'll just load another one in. Because we've got the camera already loaded in, we're right. We just need to change the background. So we'll go back to our Moon360. And load in another background. Right, so now you can see where the depth of field is on this one, where this range of ground is in focus, and the further out it's out of focus, giving it a bit more realistic. These most shots are good from behind, actually, looking into the sun. And here you can see the new scene loaded, and you can see how the rocks at the foreground are in focus while the background is slightly blurred out. Most shots are great from behind the sun, because it gives it a really good authentic look. And you've got to be aware to don't go underneath the actual viewing ground, or it can gets a bit weird. So that's the depth of field one in a nutshell. Just load your one of your backgrounds in for the depth of field, and load in the depth of field camera. Make sure that your camera is selected. You can also obviously if you move out, the depth of field will change, because it goes with the camera. He'll start blurring out at a certain distance. So, but you can automatically change that. Say we go from the right view, and it's probably better to do this from the top, actually. And seeing the depth of field, you've got these two lines here. You can see the shadow coming from the sun there, but if you want to get him back in the right place again, you just need to go into your parameters, and start moving this sky around. Yeah, a little bit slow. And also f-stop, you can mess around with that too. So he should come back into a better zoom if we go back to our depth of field camera. Oops, my iRay player is playing up a bit at the moment, but that's okay. I might have given you a bit of a bum steer there. What I found, this is the camera set by default, and I found that the easiest way is select your transform tool, grab it and drag it around, and that way you'll keep things in focus within that place, just like that. Easier to line up. So hopefully that gives you an idea how to adjust your depth of field camera a bit better. And and this just shows the when I just moved the depth of field camera, just to give you an idea how it works. So that actually blurs out the background more, so if you move further back out, then that's maybe that's what you're looking for. So just an extra tip for you, and just to show that it does work. Thanks. That's about all I can think of for this to show you. If I've got any more, I'll certainly upload some more tutorials if you need to know anything else. And I hope you enjoy the product. Thanks.